frequency.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know, if we're
3, 2, 1, you're live, and hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. My gosh, we are bringing you live here tonight from all over the world. We got Max Vision all the way up from Canada, and Zig Zag Zilla. You're all the way on North Carolina, somewhere out that
Carolina.
way. Yeah, North Carolina. Wow, yeah, I'm in North Dakota.
not that far from me.
We're all over the place.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got a great show tonight, all about frequency and how it affects your body, what it is, where it's going. You have it all the time, or don't you? Do you know anything about frequency? Tonight, all your questions will almost be answered because there's just way too much to talk about. But we're going to do a lot on it. By the time you get done with the show, you will know more than you did before. But I want to say hi to everybody else that's coming in the chat. We got people piling in left and right. We got Brandy Robinson, Grandpa Brian, who's going to be on next week. Lucky Smith. We got Prosperity to You, Lucky. We got Susie Q. We got Isby, who just started a new channel called Isby Speaks. So go over there, find his channel, and subscribe. He's going to do some cool little shorts and talk about a bunch of stuff. So go check him out. Remember, Isby, you got to put it in the comments, and then they can click on it and find your stuff. We got Scotty Boy and Delaney Pearl Jones and Joanne Dancing Gypsy and everybody else that's going to be coming in sooner or later. And Grumpy Stack is in the house. I almost missed him. Grumpy as it can be, and he always will be. So with that, here we go. So what do you guys know about frequency? And I got a little PowerPoint to talk about. Max, why don't you go first?
Well, frequency involves pretty much everything. Everything in existence has frequency of some sort. Your PowerPoint presentation will go over a lot of that. So I think that's really probably one of the best places to start.
Absolutely. Zig Zag, what do you got?
Well, I mean, you know, when it comes to frequency, I like to break down the words. And when you see the word frequency, you see the word frequent in there. It could be a frequency of, you know, something that you could see and something that you can't see. So like, let's say if I drop a pebble in the water, it creates a certain ripple. That's a certain frequency that's already happening. Sound could be, you know, connected to water. And then, you know, you'll see a certain frequency pattern there. But I always compare everything that we observe outside to the, you know, let's say computers that we've designed. Because I mean, I've made videos on like the fact that, you know, I say man was created in the image of God, but if you look at the computers, I mean, we've basically created that to mimic how we function. I mean, if you look at a cell phone, you're connecting to somebody based on a specific frequency, which, you know, we have that kind of technology as well, which I'm sure your PowerPoints will cover some pretty interesting points when it comes to that. And we can basically chop that up as we go along. But I mean, Max Vision said, it's basically everything. So
yeah, it's basically, I got the basics, because if you don't know anything about frequency, it is gonna, you know, where do you start? I mean, we live in a big basket full of frequency, and how many people really know what it is? Okay, here, I'm gonna click this all up, and let's see, wait a minute. I gotta click this up first. And then I'm going to go to, I got to do it right. View, slideshow from beginning. And then I got to shrink this. And then I can go to this and then share. Oh, that didn't work out. Okay. Stop share. Okay. Hang on. This didn't work the first time. We're going to have to do it the second time. From beginning. Then go to share screen. Now I can do that. Okay. It's a little particular, guys. A little bit particular. Can you see all that?
Yep.
Yes.
We got it.
Okay, good deal. I'm sure everybody else can see that. I'm watching it on another screen and it's showing all my mistakes. I'm thinking, okay, so here we got frequency, Milky Way Soul Tribe. And we got frequency around us. What is frequency? 2, where is frequency and how can we recognize it? 3, frequency and how to use it to help us. How can we use it? Here's frequency waves. We have amplitude, which is the length of the wave, and then we have, which is the time. And so it's not just the wave, but the length of time the wave takes. We have a low frequency, medium frequency, and a high frequency. And as you can see, a low frequency is a long wave, and a high frequency is a short wave.
There's frequency and then there's wave height. So the frequency is the number per time, and the wave height is the amplitude that it will reach.
Absolutely.
So the waves up and down.
Kind of like AM and FM. AM will travel because it has big waves. FM has short waves. Shorter waves, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay, we have the basic properties of a wave, include frequency, amplitude. All frequencies of electromagnetic waves travel at the same speed in empty space. And we got the visible light spectrum, is the section of the electromagnetic radiation spectrum that is visible to the human eye. Essentially, that equals or equates to the colorless of the human eye, or the colors the human eye can see. It ranges in wavelength from approximately 400 nanometers, which is violet, to 700 nanometers, which is red. And as you can see from this chart, we can only see in this little bitty bit of light, visible light frequency, and everything else is invisible to us.
Now they claim that that's the size of them, but it could also be the speed. The speed could determine the size. There could be a correlation there. So that's something to think about. And when they hit things, they refract, they bounce back. And the colors we see are these lights, are these particles coming back. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And now we've been always told that like dogs and cats see in black and white, but black and white really ain't on this spectrum, I guess. And maybe that's why they can see, you know, they see spirits and ghosts and things like that. Could that be a possibility?
That's possible. We don't know the entire spectrum that we can see, like that animals can see. Especially like some things like cuttlefish and other weird, there's some strange sea creatures down there that can see almost in the dark. So yeah, who knows? And you know, there are things like sonar, that's a frequency as well. So that's a way of seeing differently. So different type of spectrum or different spectrum of frequency, but you know, same effect. It's really interesting frequency, and it does involve everything.
Yeah. Okay, now we got people. Now we all know that we make frequency with our voice. In general, the fundamental frequency of complex speech tone, also known as pitch. We all know we can make a pitch, and certain women can make a pitch, and they do the and they break the windows and the glasses and whatever, you know. It range of 100 to 120 hertz for men, but variations outside of this range can occur. The F0 for women is found approximately 1 octave higher. For children, F0 is around 300 hertz. And as you can see, here's the normal, loud, raised, and shouted. And males, well, they're a little bit lower on that. They can't make that same pitch. Okay, and here we go again with the more frequency. Now this chart, you can see where the children are, but still, here's the males, females, children.
But there's something ear piercing about a child's scream. That's just
apps. Yeah. And it's got the things on here too, it shows, but you just get an idea of all this. Okay, the quantity frequency is also confused with general quality speed. You were talking about that earlier when we were showing the waves. The speed of an object refers to how fast an object is moving and is usually expressed as the distance traveled per time of travel. For a wave, the speed is distance traveled by a given point on the wave, such as a crest, in a given period of time. So while wave frequency refers to the number of cycles occurring per second, wave speed refers to the meters traveled per second. A wave can vibrate back and forth very frequently, yet have a small speed, and a wave can vibrate back and forth with a low frequency, yet have a high speed. Frequency and speed are distinctly different qualities. And there it gives you the time and the compression. And I don't expect everybody to know this, but that's just a good thing to kind of look at because it all varies. Okay, now we get into technical stuff. The problem with society worldwide is that we are taught from the time we are children to utilize chemicals to treat disease. From the time we are conscious, we are told, see your doctor. We are told this thousands of times every year, and that gets repeated for every year of one's life until they die. Same goes with take this medication or pill for the condition or that condition. Get yourself a blue pill. Get this immunization and so on. It never ends. One cannot read a magazine, turn on the TV or radio, and not be subjected to this constant form of message reinforcement. There are many other methods that don't use chemicals. And Royal Rife was probably one of the foremost geniuses of recent times, and yet he died a penniless alcoholic, and his life work has been expunged from history books, and all evidence of his research and tools have disappeared. Now, he invented that Rife machine that heals people. And that's an interesting story in itself. The Rife machines were invented in the 1920s by Royal Raymond Rife. They deliver low electromagnetic waves like radio waves through the hands and feet. The suggestion is that all medical conditions may have an electromagnetic frequency and that this machine will deliver pulses at the same frequency to disable the diseases. Human vibration, parameter comparison, and results discussion. According to the existing research, that natural frequency of a human standing body is about 7.5 hertz, and the frequency of a sitting posture in the cab is generally 4 to 6 hertz. The natural frequency of the main body parts is shown in table 1. And there you go. There. The thing is I didn't even know this. I thought, hey, you're at 7.5 hertz all the time. But if you sit down or you squeeze yourself up, you change your hertz, you change your frequency by just squishing down. And then it goes in which frequency: enlightenment, 700 plus, peace, joy, reason, all those things that we go through. And if you get down to the lower ones, shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, those are all under 100, where everything else is way above. I think it starts out here with anger is 150 and everything else goes down. So if you're never anger, you don't desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, or shame, you're in the top section of that. Higher, and we all know this one, higher frequency in the body results in better health. It has been shown that a normal healthy body has a frequency of 62 to 72 hertz. Wave frequency is the number of waves that pass a fixed point in a given amount of time. The SI unit for a wave frequency is the hertz, whereas the 1 hertz equals 1 wave passing a fixed point in 1 second. A higher frequency wave has more energy than a lower frequency wave with the same aptitude. And here you go, is the electromagnetic spectrum. And you can see that there's buildings, humans, bees, pinpoint, all these different things. And as you go up the line, the frequency, the waves get higher and higher, and different sections. Temperature of your body makes the wavelength different. And here's your frequency, the size of the frequency. I ain't going to go into that too much. And that is the end of my slideshow.
Each of your organs has its own frequency. When it goes out of whack, the frequency of your organ goes off.
Yes, and I did a little bit of reading. I didn't want to put it all in my slideshow because it was just too difficult, and I'm sure you all know that. But each organ has its own subsection of frequency, and those Rife machines can tune into that. And they do what they do. And we're not a medical show. This is all for entertainment purposes only, and we are scientific just wonders and discussing. So no medical discussion. I am not a doctor, and neither are you two.
Nope.
So what do y'all have to say on that?
If
Now that we
can
covered
hold
the
it for a
basics.
minute, I'm going to go grab a document or two.
Okay, you go right ahead. Zig Zag, it's up to you now. Look, what do you got? What did you make of all of that?
So here's what I think of all that. First of all, I want to touch the point on the animals.
Yes.
Where when they see black and white, I'm not too sure about if they really actually can see black and white. Figuring that there's insects that can see certain colors, such as like, what attracts them to certain like fruits in your garden, like the color red and whatnot. So, looking at a bug and like a cat or a dog, I don't think that they're less evolved as far as to how much of the color spectrum they can see. But then again, when we say black and white, if we're looking at a rainbow spectrum and we look at black and white, black, could be the absence of color, or it could be all the colors mixed in one. You get what I'm saying? Or you can look at white, and white to a photographer may be all the colors instead of like a blank color. Because we look at the word black and then we look at the word blank, which is basically like the white version of the color black.
Mhm.
But
I can show you that in the photon, black and white, before they become color. They're
Right.
black and white.
right.
Here's the frequencies of the chakra system. Oh,
Hang
over
on a
here.
second. I'm going to blow you up. There you go. You got to talk now.
Okay, so this is the frequencies of the chakra system. Sorry, I'm on different, I'm watching the YouTube so I can get the chat.
Oh.
So it starts off at 396 down at the bottom, goes to 417 at your, sorry, here, let me read it off to you. So it's the sacral chakra is 417, the root chakra is 369. Glasses. 528 is the solar plexus, 639 is the heart, 741 is the throat, 852, the Aum, is third eye, and then 963 is your crown chakra. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of that, that you can get a frequency player off of the App Store and play each of those individual frequencies for each chakra. I use it in my my system of following the 28 days, or well, it's actually 33-day cycle of the pineal, but you can use it however you want and reinforce each chakra to complete your chakras and make sure that they're fulfilled and energized.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
Alright.
have on that. Yeah.
I feel like the reason we could even see these colors is based on like water. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like when you see a rainbow, a certain light reflecting off of like,
Yes.
let's say, water in the air is the reason that we could even see a rainbow. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
It's
about looking beyond like water, you know what I'm saying? Like a lighter dense of water. Let's say if, when we talk about animals looking at anything that's like beyond the physical, you get what I'm saying? That could be a lighter spectrum of water, kind of like when we look at the water cycles as far as solid, liquid, and then gas. What is this that I'm looking at, Max?
that's a photon.
A photon. Okay.
Okay, you can see that it mirrors, well, this is why they have the checkerboard in the Mason's Hall
Mm,
to represent the photon. They understand that all is electric, all is L. All is
Right.
made up of either this or half of this, which is an electron.
Hmm.
So this bouncing off of something will hit different surfaces and come back at you at a different speed, and your eye picks it up at a different spectrum. You see the
So-
disc?
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
That's the photon.
So
And it
Max,
has its
you
own,
said that-
it does
that
have its own
photon-
frequency.
Yeah. I just want to ask, the photon is in black and white, right?
When it's being compressed.
When it's being compressed.
Yeah, it can have other colors upon explosion or before it's compressed.
Right. What's going to determine the colors that we're able to see from that, though? Because like light, for example, to me is information.
It is
You
the
know what I'm saying?
speed, I
The
think.
speed. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Hang on, guys. I got something for you. I know you
And the
put that stuff.
refraction through the rainbow
So-
would be the light spectrum splitting up into different speeds.
There's those frequencies you were talking about. Crown chakra, the 720, 762, 548, 528, 480, and 32 hertz. So if anybody sees that, this is a chakra frequency chart. It's on the internet. You can find
Awesome.
it for yourself. I just thought I'd pop that up because it is out there, and I'm trying to do my due diligence to keep you guys right up to speed here as you're talking. Look at that stuff up. So it's all good. All
So yeah, I want the frequency part where we were talking about, like let's say the different levels, but we start to, so we correlate it to the emotional part of things.
Yeah.
Now we got the anger, shame, guilt, and whatnot, especially like the anger part. One would look at that like if you're in a lower frequency as a bad thing, but in actuality, I mean, it's just a stronger way. If you're going to transmute energy, you know how somebody can turn fear into fire, or like anger into, channel it into the right area, and you can actually utilize it to your benefit rather than to your detriment. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel like we're in control of, like, it doesn't matter if it's upper or lower. Like, even if I go outside and ground my energy, I'm basically giving off all of my negative, like, energy down to the soil. I'm getting, I mean, the lower, when I'm able to basically attract those, like what we would call alkaline, like negative ions, you know, if we're in an inflammatory state, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
Like even being too blissful, you're still at a potential. If your mind ain't right, you're still at a potential to, the same way you could transmute and pendulum swing all the way to the top, you can pendulum swing right back down to the bottom, which is why in actuality, my favorite position to be in is neutrality, man. But you know, there's that fine balance between heartlessness and neutrality. Neutrality, you're the observer. And, you know, there's a difference between being the observer and being heartless. Because, you know, when you're connected to yourself and you see the connectedness in everybody else, you can basically still see the connectiveness and say, this is my brother, this is my sister. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm basically, you know, whatever. If I'm observing, I'm not, because everything
from a health standpoint, it's better to be happy. Right.
That's absolutely. Your body finds homeostasis, which is that middle point. So, you know, working with the body and nature would literally be that middle neutral natural state. You know, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of more for the positive side. I don't think it has to be like an elated euphoria on a constant basis, and I don't think it can ever be. But I believe that it's kind of like leveling up and then getting used to it, leveling up, getting used to it, which you're kind of, I don't know if you're leveling up or just getting a surge, you know? But I think that we can maintain that for a long time. I do think the grounding helps, and what you're thinking is going to put that energy through your body when you're grounding, or even when you're not. But more so when you're grounding, because you'll be taking in energy as well as discharging. So I don't know. I'm kind of more for the childlike than. But I do end up more to the medium point. More to the medium point, though. Yeah, but I search for the childlike a lot of the times. I try.
Right. I just feel like it's like tools. I feel like it don't matter what frequency it is. It could be the lower or the upper. I mean, they're tools, man. Like I've had this from experience. Like when I'm in that neutrality middle point, I'm able to filter through the garbage. Because like one would say like the lower chakras or like the lower realms, but in actuality, it's just balance in those lower realms. Like if I'm in my lower realm, I could be imbalanced and experience those negative emotions, or be balanced and basically build my foundation of stability. You get what I'm saying? Like
balance is always good too. That's kind of the balance point of it, you know? Balance is good. Balance of the mind,
why I was talking about the middle. That's why I was talking about that middle point, not basically like looking at it from like the upper frequency to lower. I'm talking about the balance in each one of those frequencies. You get what I'm saying? And I'm able to move in whatever direction I'm at if I'm looking at it from the observer standpoint.
You're talking the chakras, right?
It's chakras, frequencies.
Yeah. Because we do get out of balance for sure. Like a lot of people do have imbalance in their frequencies. And
but that's why people say I'm in control of my emotions, you know, like, I'm sorry to cut you off. I think we're in a little delay.
No. We just went down a different road. That's all.
I love it, because, you know, did any of you ever just, you know, start, you know, if you get angry, that brings your frequency down and your whole day and your whole mood goes downhill. But if you if you just say love, just saying the word love, 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 and think of something happy. That's
I can tell you, I haven't had a bad day at work since I decided not to. You know?
But you see what I'm saying? Like when you say love, 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 if you're angry, you're neutralizing that emotion. You get what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying, because either way, if I'm polarizing, I'm still polarizing, and the realm is ran on polarity. You know what I'm saying? That's what we tend to get lost. Well, not you guys, but I'm saying like in general, people get lost in, like, let's say an emotion, or let's say like even when you're in a lower vibrational state, you could be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, because I let my emotions get the best of me. It's just basically you lost like a handle or a grip on that specific emotion you were in, you know. But that's where I was going to say before, a child is naturally joyous, you know. But that's where I say, like, it's like if we're adults, we should be more childlike. But there's a difference between that childish and childlike state, you know. So innocent yet neutral at the same time. But neutrality is basically in all levels. But
I think a lot of people, like you said, they don't know how to turn it back on. They get angry and then they stay that way. Well, we got like Scratch here just said, he says, I was born angry. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you were born angry, but you know, how do you snap out of that? You know, snap out of it. You know, you couldn't, you know, children aren't angry. Like you said, you see a kid, he's happy unless he stubs his toe, or
but they still get angry though.
yes, they do. And you know? They have these dramatic mood swings. One minute they're laughing, and then next minute they're crying and they're miserable, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, what is wrong with that kid? You know.
But you said the key before. You're like that. You see, like when somebody's angry, do they hold on to that emotion? Though it's just basically, you know, you let it go. The grudge part is what actually kills you. You know, like holding grudges and whatnot.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, holding on to that energy will eventually make you sick.
It'll make you. It'll age you.
Yeah.
If you hold on to it too long. Oh,
I know my mother has told me that
COVID in my area, which matches the EMFs in my area.
Oh, really?
Right.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the EMFs? I know you're really up on that.
Well, I'm up on it because I am very sensitive to them, unfortunately.
And how do you protect yourself if, you know, because how do people, well, first off, how do people know if they're being affected by this? I mean, it's all around us. So, I mean, it's from everything that we have, the electric current going through our house, our Wi-Fi, our cell phones, our microwaves, all of those things, right?
There's artificial energy being put out at us at the moment on a mass scale for 100 years or more. You guys should look up Arthur Furstenberg, The Electric Rainbow. It's a study into human biology, and the electric system and electricity. We're being bombarded at the moment, like from EMFs. Everybody knows about that. Everybody's worried about 5G, and you should be. From what I've seen, it looks like it can take you down in the street in about 30 seconds. So that's kind of something to worry about. But we're not being bombarded with 5G. Okay, that won't really happen. They'll never they can't broadcast 5G. 5G is tier to tier broadcasting. It will go to one device and target it on that. It's a directed beam technology as opposed to a broadcast technology. What we're being affected by is the broadcast technology, which is coming from 3G, 4G. The power lines are a huge source. People actually very largely underestimate the effects of the power lines. I've noticed in my area anyways that the power lines are a more significant source of damage to people than anything. Because the damage has been going on since before even the wireless network. So And they are ramping up that system as we speak, especially in my area in Canada. I don't know about your area or your areas in the States, but if you watch your all the substations around your city, you'll probably notice that they're going to be upgrading them. That'll be either to support 5G or up or put more power down the system, which is a different method of doing kind of the same thing that 5G does. I learned about a thing called the Lilly Wave. It was developed by John C. Lilly back in the 70s. He worked for the Navy, the US Navy, and he developed a wave that would work on people's emotions. One day when he was no longer in service, he was at a friend's house and his friend had an oscilloscope hooked up to the power supply from the local distributor. And he looked at it and he goes, "How do you know about my Lilly Wave?" Well, the man didn't. He was just hooked up to the power system. And John C. Lilly noticed that they were transmitting his wave through the power system. And that wave will augment your emotions, and it can do various other things. I've noticed that it can even reinstall old pains, which is an amazing thing. So what it does is it's an emotional feedback system like radar. It sends out a ping and it captures a frequency. It brings that frequency back and records it. And then it spits it back out. It looks for the ones it wants, like the negative ones, and it spits it back out at you through the power lines.
Wow.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
Max, how do you feel it's affecting you? You said you were sensitive to these things. How do you feel it's affecting you?
okay, well, as I told you before the show, I think every winter I used to get a sick feeling. I used to get sick and achy, just run down all winter. I've had various different effects that I have figured out recently are due to the frequencies being transmitted at us. Toothaches, eye aches, headaches, muscle pains. Almost every ailment that the human being has can be traced back to these frequencies in some way or another. And what any doctor will tell you, and this is just a fact, most disease, actually all disease, is caused by inflammation. Okay. So how does that inflammation happen? Well, I experience it in my gums and teeth and my nasal passages. I have a nasal infection right now that I can basically turn on or off depending on where I am. And I know that there's more frequencies in those areas. And I've tested this theory because I've noticed it over the past year or so. So I bought an EMF meter and I tested my theory. I was right. So yeah, I can get rid of almost all of my symptoms by isolating myself from frequencies that are being broadcast.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Hang on, I got your guy up here. Oh, wherever he is.
So I spent I've spent 2 years now. If you guys go to the App Store and download the ElectroSmart app, I've suggested this to all of my listeners. You can collect data. I've collected 2 years of data. I printed off a year's worth when we had this spike in my area, and I matched it up to what was being shown on my phone app, and it matched perfect.
Wow, that tells you this was kind of it was so that you think they were broadcasting a wave out there at the time and then they just turn it up and turn it down.
Yep.
Wow.
Hey, I just want to share how it affects me to some extent.
Yes,
and I don't know
absolutely.
if it's happened to you, but I'll start noticing my thought patterns. You get what I'm saying? And unconsciously, if I'm, and this is how I've been able to pinpoint it, because it does affect my moods and my emotions. But to some extent, you start to ask, are these thoughts mine, or are they coming from something outside of myself? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
When I
again,
told,
I'm
there was a lady
admitting-
I had told about that. She had done her shadow work years ago, and she has no idea why she constantly has to do it over and over again. And then I told her, the Lilly Wave.
Yeah.
They can repeat thoughts right back to you.
So those thoughts are yours, but they're repeated differently.
Yeah.
No?
Well, they're repeated back to you.
Huh.
Right? So you have a negative thought, they
So-
capture it, and they can just transmit a general malaise pretty much, like a
So I,
negativity.
oh yeah. So I looked up this Lilly Wave and I typed this in and this is what came up, guys. Lilly Wave and psychotic warfare, mass mind control. This was in June, July, 1989 issue of the West German Scientist publication. Radtun and Zeth carried by the article. Technical principle of receivers of electromagnetic waves. It's fully acknowledged with biological information. So to overcome cell membranes, living organisms use electron, and it just tells you about the whole thing that that you were talking about. All of that there. So people go look it up for yourself. I just thought I'd share that because you're right. So Zigzag. So you're hearing voices in your head, and you're not crazy. What do you make of all this?
Well, here's the thing. Like I was saying before, the thoughts. When I'm in that neutral point, I feel like I'm just a tad bit more psychic to some extent. I'm basically more observing these thoughts, and if I can attest to this, that if I'm not aware of the thought and I'm entertaining a thought to some extent, it affects my mood. It's like even more like my sexual natures, like just the way I react to things. But it starts from that, frequency of thought. Like I'm emitting a frequency, obviously. So of course that, whatever thought forms I'm going to be attracting is based on, what I'm emitting to begin with. But these thoughts, this is why when Max Vision was talking about certain frequencies and that were where there was certain spikes, and then you mentioned something about was there a frequency that was thrown out. I mean, we got these night lights that are pretty much awkward to me looking, like they're these blue night lights that are outside now, these street lamps.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about them, but they just look off. They don't, I'm not telling you they affect my mood or they affect me in any kind of way, but there is, of course, scientific studies that show a certain color pattern at nighttime, especially when we're looking at like our blue phones and whatnot. They affect our, sleep-wake cycle because it affects our melatonin production.
Absolutely. Some LEDs can give me a headache. But yes,
Right.
the LEDs that they're putting in now, definitely they're blue light. And it's very hazardous on our sleep cycles. Absolutely. That's why they're selling like all these, they've got these blue block glasses now, where you can get various different other brands. They're just like an orangey yellow lens.
Right.
To block out that light. But with
So I
the,
feel like,
go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say that there's a connection between those lights and like whatever 5G network or communication network going on.
Yeah, I
because
think
just,
so.
Me doing research on these lights, for example, outside is just basically, they started off with them saying that the regular LED lights wearing out have that blue hue to them after they start going bad. But I mean, this is just everywhere now. You get what I'm saying? And on top of that, the lights that I have outside went out and they were replaced with those blue lights. So I can like basically firsthand, I witnessed the fact that they changed them to that actual blue light purposely.
Yeah.
Now, again, looking at the way 5G works, where it's on a shorter wavelength, meaning like it doesn't have that long range, it has shorter range. This is where I feel like that whole entire communication network and more of that pollution is actually affecting the frequency of where we're at. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
adding to it. It's a
Right.
big soup is what it is.
a big soup.
It's a big electromagnetic soup they put us in. I kind of describe the universe as that too, because we're not really all that solid either. But it's kind of a soup they've got going out there, and the light, like they've covered almost every spectrum of frequency. Like they've covered, like sound. They use ELFs on us. The lights, that's the visible spectrum, and the microwaves and radio waves. Those are higher spectrum that we can't see. It's just frequency of electricity vibrating, right? So yeah, and they've just blasted us with it. It's getting way worse. And I think that I've seen a video. I don't know if it's true, but it would make sense to me. They're putting speakers, or sorry, microphones and 5G into a lot of these new light installations, and it really wouldn't be that hard. You can make the cells pretty small.
The cat's tearing your place up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I see.
they see a moth
Oh,
and they're going crazy. chasing
Mine
the
was
moth.
scratching at the door a minute ago.
I see that. Hey,
Now-
I wanted to say Scratch does something really important. He says govern from Greek kumberna, I butchered that name. To guide, meant from Latin mente, mind, government, guide the mind control. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds cool. Right up the alley there. They're all about words, like you were saying, Zig Zag. You got the, frequency, it's all in there. Just talk to Julianne Payne. She just comes up with all that stuff. It's all in the words that we speak. It tells you right out there. We're just ignorant to see it.
You see how they use certain sequence of events also that affect people's emotions, and this is how they can actually control the energy basically by mind control. It's just basically sequences of events as well. Like it's all patterns. But when we're able to detect that, then that's how. See, this is why I feel like keeping your filters clean. Like I don't feel like any of these things are be above me or beyond me. It's just like a vehicle. If you don't change the filters, man, I mean, the dirty fluids are going to affect the motor. So how do you change how do you keep your filters clean and clear? That's where, the practice of meditation and breath work and whatnot, because just breathing, you basically eliminate so many toxins out of your body. Eating a certain way, basically detoxing heavy metals, which makes you receptive to these type of frequencies. Because if you are basically walking around with all these metals in your body, of course you're going to be receptive to all these inorganic frequencies, but it would require these inorganic minerals in your body to begin with. Proper hydration, but pH is very important. If you practice, let's say if somebody lets their emotions get the best of them and they have an inflammatory attitude about things, of course, then that affects your body to begin with, and your body is nothing but a vehicle. It's just, but you're the one managing it, and that's why I call it business management. Like you're minding your business to some extent, but it's keeping the filters clear with meditation, breath work, because meditation basically strengthens the focus muscle. Everybody's just into meditation just being a spiritual thing. It's literally an exercise. It's just like when you go to the gym, you work out your muscles to build your body and make it stronger. You do meditation, yoga, and all these practices. It's just basically to strengthen these things that we think we don't have these abilities on. We call them extra super sensory perceptions and whatnot,
I got something for you on that. There was this little short story I read just the other day somewhere. It was about the student and the master yoga guy or whatever, take it as you will. And he says, master, he says, I practice every day, so I could become, master someday. But he says, master, you practice every day too, but you're already a master. Why do you practice? And he says, so I can keep being the master.
Right.
And, so that's the thing. You can't just say, well, I'm at that neutral state. I'm right where I want to be. I can do whatever I want, because if you don't, you're going to go one way or the other, right?
Right.
You got to keep going. You can't just give up. You have to keep, meditating. You have to keep getting back to neutral to keep that state of mind.
That's what,
And
but like
I want,
when you ground outside, just grounding, you always ground to neutral. Like you always have like a positive and negative, right? Prong, you always ground the energy to neutral, from neutral, you know, so.
Oh, yeah.
I want to tell you guys something, how powerful your minds are. With one thought, you can overcome it all. If you think, if you know, it'd be good if you did a little bit of research into it. Look up into the Lilly Wave. Understand that you're being played with. So when you have a negative emotion, you know that it's not yours, or that it possibly is not yours. Even if it is or isn't, it's much easier to get rid of it, knowing that it couldn't, there is the possibility it was put on you.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that last? Wait, I'm sorry, Robert. Can you repeat that last part, Max? What did you say?
Go ahead.
Well, if you know that the emotion is could be being put on you, that it may not be yours, it makes it so much easier to get rid of it.
Now I've been reading this new book. I don't know if you know Ryder Lee, but Ryder Lee suggested this book to me. An Amazing Journey into the Psychotic Mind, Breaking through the Spell of the Ivory Tower. And I started reading it, and it's really fascinating, and about the voices in the head and stuff like that. It talks about mentally ill patients from, back in the day till now. And from what I've read so far, that, it's people who hear voices in their head and do things because, there's voices telling them to do stuff and so forth and so on. And he equates it to, this has been going on for thousands of years. But, it's like you were saying, are these voices mine or aren't they mine? And Max, it's like you said, once you realize this, it says in there, once these patients, you said, hey, you're hearing voices, this is what it's about and stuff, they actually could start on the path to combating those voices then, because before everybody just said, you're crazy, I don't hear anything, but I hear voices. No, you don't. There's nobody here's hearing that voice. But once they said, listen, this is what's going on with you, that patient started on the road to recovery. As long as you would, instead of saying you're just crazy.
Yeah, as long as their mind is looking at it as, maybe it's something outside me, they can begin the process.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good book. Check it out. We're going to do a show on that with Lee Ryder one of these days. So go get that book.
Your minds are powerful, and you can beat the Lilly Wave with your own mind.
Yeah.
I think, so just try and think of it, guys. Whenever you have a negative emotion, just think, could that be the Lilly Wave?
Yeah.
And even if it isn't, why don't you get rid of the negative emotion anyway?
Well, if you have, or I read somewhere that if you did get these ideas in your head, what was it that it's called, the voice of God or something like that, the Army has, or
there's voice to skull technology.
Voice to skull. That's it.
Oh, they could take an MK Ultra victim, somebody that they've split into several different personalities, or even a non-MK Ultra victim, and make them into one just by harassment over years, and start using voice to skull technology on them. If they did it right, nobody would ever figure it out, and they could have voices in his head.
So Zig Zag, do you think you're getting that? Do you think that's what you were hearing, or is that affecting?
This is what they call schizophrenia. You know what I'm saying? But schizophrenia, I feel like we all have a certain level of schizophrenia to some extent. I mean, we all have a voice in our head. You know what I'm saying? And some of it.
Yeah, we all talk to it. Well, most people have actually, there's a certain percentage of the population that does not have an internal dialogue. I have yet to understand this, but they don't.
So, and the thing is that whoever diagnosed certain people with schizophrenia, what's interesting is that they did studies on their urine, and they actually secreted a higher level of dimethyltryptamine or DMT in their urine than an average person. Which is, I mean, it's I look at everything as far as like how nature provides you with certain things and
or
whatnot.
maybe they're sending you on a trip. Maybe they're activating that.
Well, yeah, that's another
a
thing, because I
possibility.
mean, this is basically something that's released, especially at death, you know, but you release a certain amount of it, especially while you're sleeping. But, you know, there's practices such as, I'm not telling anybody to do this, but I'm just saying, like, based on stuff that I've read, you know, there's practices such as Shivambu, which is basically like urine therapy and whatnot. You know, we start to look at plants in nature and we call them plant medicines, you know, and you know, who's to say that nature didn't provide these plants for a certain purpose as far as balance goes, homeostasis. I mean, the land is basically you. The thing is that everybody is not connected to the land, or they don't see the land as an extension of them anymore, because they're so disconnected from it for such a long period of time, meaning, you know, just basic lifestyle choices that people take as far as like working in jobs for 8 hours, then going home and watching TV. I mean, when do people actually go outside and spend more than 3 hours at least in soil, touching the soil, hearing birds and trees and whatnot without any type of electronics? You know what I'm saying? And when you really look, and this is what got me into a lot of deep thinking, was actually gardening. And it's not like I got this information in English language. It came to me in alien technology, basically through realizations and hunches. I mean, it's like this, man. They always tell you,
Intuitions. Yeah.
you want to be successful, hang out with successful people. They say who you are, who you hang out with, right? You spend enough time in nature and you're going to have hunches and inspiration and realizations about yourself to some extent. It may come in dreams, it may come through ideas or whatnot, but just studying the soil. Then you look at religion, how they tell you man came from the soil, you go back, how you have dominion over the land, you know, and then one says, well, you know, how you know, I remember I was talking to somebody about me gardening, and they say, well, you know, I don't want to be a slave to the land. First of all, that's backward thinking, because the only way you become a slave to the land is when you constantly have to go outside and creating a balance by using inorganic elements like synthetic chemicals and pesticides, right?
Closer you are to the land, the ground more grounded you are.
Hitting your plants, you leave it alone, and eventually the predatory bugs come in and balance the ecosystem out. Yeah. In fact, the bigger the ecosystem, the better the universe, the higher the vibration and frequency of that world. You know what I'm saying? And it's always going to be balanced. I created the environment, though. I had an intent behind why I created the environment. I'm going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. However, nature works for me by keeping everything balanced and in homeostasis. But I have to keep my garden balanced in a way like nature is balanced. Nobody's watering or fertilizing trees in nature, right? So because of the organic thick layer of organic matter on top of the soil, keeps everything working properly. Plus that, you know, shading above keeps the hot above and then the cooler on the bottom. If you look at the body, it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? That's why we get sunlight. We keep an alkaline base in our systems, and we basically are like the yin and yang, black and white. You know what I'm saying? But they're working in symbiotic. They're working in symbiosis. Like it's a symbiotic relationship happening between the microbiome in your body to what's externally happening outside of you. You get what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It's just so many connections between bugs and nature, even what they say.
There is a good reason for that. There's the grounding aspect of being close to the earth. There's the grounding aspect of being in nature. There's also the fields. There's energy fields in a forest that are protective. So I suggest everyone go walking in the forest at any chance you can get, because your mind will be clear and intuition will be stronger and your connection will be greater.
So is that why when they had the big lock in your house thing, they closed all the parks so you can go out there and do that?
It could be, yeah.
Could be early.
And if you don't ground at some point, like I have grounding wires all over the place. I can ground at any time. I should grab one. Yeah, grounding. I don't know if I would imagine they did that on purpose as well, because they seem to do everything on purpose, Robert.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I mean, it's just now that we're talking about it, kind of makes sense. Hey, go out in the woods, you know, ground yourself, get outside, you know, but if you're stuck in your apartment or your house, you're not grounding.
Yeah.
No, you're like a walking tree. And this is why, like, it's important. If you really want to know how to really work your frequency, it's basically, look, how does a tree ground itself more deeper into the earth? You know what I'm saying? Harsh environments, let's say wind, a lot of, storms, natural, environmental extremities strengthen the trunk of the tree, but it also gets the roots to anchor itself a lot deeper into the ground and make it stronger. You know what I'm saying? That's why if you look at a plant that's indoors versus a plant that's outdoors, the plant that's indoors grows long and twiggy, like basically like all weak and stagnant, where the one outside basically is more stable and more sturdy. But that's because it was, and that's why even people who are experiencing, let's say, low vibrations, this is why they say that it makes you stronger to some extent if you're able to work through these things. But working through these things takes a certain level of, conscious and awareness, which is basically going to require your mindset to be in a higher vibration for you to be able to move yourself into directions you want to be in.
Okay, I got a good one. You're talking about a tree. Hey, Max, you got a picture there. I want you to talk. I'm going to give you a speaker position so you can hold that up.
This is somebody's representation of a tree, of one of the energy fields of the human body, the connecting fields between the ether and the earth through the human, with the representation. So they have energy leaving through the right side of the forehead, energy entering through the left side of the forehead of the head from the ether. They have incoming energy combining and moving across the torso. So that's where the cross happens. I've actually heard one girl told me, if you want to gain energy, start crossing your chest and you'll gain energy with your right hand. So received energy, splitting and exiting, superiorly and inferiorly, which means up and down. So in the middle there, it's changing from right to left and going from up to down. That's just someone's interpretation of our energy field. It may act in different ways, but chakra system and all of that combined, you can get a good idea. And we do have a huge field around us, a huge energy field. It's detectable up to 55 feet at the moment. But you can see even in that representation how important the earthing or the grounding part of that
That's right.
is. It completes the circuit. And without a complete circuit, things get bogged up. Like my teeth, my nose, or you just get a general feeling of sickness, which can start to cause inflammation, which all doctors agree leads to disease.
Yeah.
You know what's funny that I'm sorry.
I got a good one for you. This is about your tree thought. So I looked this up, and I hope everybody can see this. And
Wow.
This is about, you see the tree with the roots?
Yep.
And how they branch out. That's kind of just like your picture, Max. And here's the different plants, different trees. Okay. See the tree top, and it's all branched out. Look, here's a weed. This is a weed and its roots.
Oh yeah.
And you can't kill a weed. No wonder why. Here's a small, whatever it is, more roots, and it spreads out. Here's just a little bitty weed or flower, whatever. It doesn't
look
say
at how
what
much
it is.
Grounding it's doing at the moment, and we do virtually none.
Lots of more grounding than it does have on the top half.
Yeah,
they're there for a reason, though.
Yeah.
Look at this one. Looks like something I got growing outside.
Many reasons, yeah.
And look at that massive root system. That is grounding, and you have this little bit of top, just a little bit. There's multiple. Oh, here's another one, goes real deep. But that's all grounding. And you notice it all the way goes down, and here's this little bitty piece on the bottom. So that's your point. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because you were talking about the grounding, and trees ground. We should ground too.
Right. Well, you know what's beautiful though? When you see those root systems, that's how one tree communicates with another. That's why when we ground, we have a better connection with man outside of ourselves, because we're just like the trees. There's something called a mycelium network underneath that basically communicates with another tree. If it's sick or dying, it can like basically send nutrients to that tree. And this happens, miles away, which is crazy. And that mycelium network is the root system of a mushroom. And when we use mushrooms, of course, us humans can go into an altered state of consciousness just with mushrooms. So you got to look at these things in nature as it's basically an extension of us. It's the same technology that was, and it's basically our world inside out. It's funny because that technology is exactly how we communicate. The frequency above, but it happens with the wind. Everything's happening in harmony. The sun, the wind, those leaves flurrying like that in the wind, that's a frequency. That's another form of communication,
Yeah. I think once these, when you figure this all out, and let's just say that important people or societies or whatever, or people at the top of whatever that controls us all may, if they figure this out by, if we can figure it out, they have already, put it that way. And they know that if we're trees and you cut off the root system and you take away the sunlight, or you play loud music, or you do whatever. Did you ever see a tree in front of a cell tower?
Yeah, Mr. Burns, Bill Gates is going to take away the sun.
Yeah, well, exactly.
They put sand in the skate parks, and
yeah. I mean, all of that is done on purpose because they know that affects the tree, meaning us, is that flow that you were talking about. You got that flow and that energy. And if you take away, say they say you can't go outside and grow your garden, well, shoot, you can't ground. And if you say, hey, you can't go to the park, well, you can't ground. And if you can't go out in the sunlight, you don't get that sunlight. What's going to happen? They turn up them waves, and then that affects you way more than the other stuff. So, I mean, I guess it boils down to it. You can look at it any way you want, people, but
it'll still affect you if you're grounding, but it's a less effect.
Yeah,
because it's taking a lot of it that's on the surface that would be going tunneling. What it does, the energy that they send out, is it actually tunnels into your skin. And being grounded will pull a lot of that charge off of you. And being in the woods, there's less charge to be put on you, so you're getting a greater effect.
Yeah.
This is why the system has been designed a certain way. It's because of, like, look at, for example, even the words they use for school, like it starts from school, elementary school, they're supposed to teach you about the elements. You go to universities, you're supposed to learn the universe knowledge, you know what I'm saying? But the whole thing is, this is all done in cubicles. The same way when we go to work, we're in cubicles for that amount of time as well. But these systems, where it's religious system, the education system, the way the government is set up, it's set up, but we're entertaining it. That's the reason why it has powers, because people, first of all, look at the lines that are built outside of like a phone store when the new iPhone comes out or new technology comes out. You see people run to this inorganic system, and this is the reason why the inorganic system that we would want to call that's affecting us is because of humans. Like, we're the ones that are doing it to ourselves. Nobody's really hurting us outside of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, we have to use this technology to use this live stream and whatnot. But who is to say that there wasn't an alternate method? Which is basically, the same way. Look at how Metaverse is actually designed in a way where you connect the goggles and we are all going to be in the same space, virtual reality. You hear what I'm saying? But who is to say that we can't do this with our mind in a way where we exercise it so much that we can actually make this technology lucid? These things are the things that we've atrophied through time because we've depended so much on things outside of ourselves for information, for entertainment, for tools that we got lost in to basically depend on over our bodies, when our body is basically the ultimate technology to begin with. But again, that's, to some people, that's very far out thinking, but it's really not.
I think our health would be perfect if we weren't being subjected to what we're being subjected to at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much all disease would be pretty much gone. I'm going to share a document with chat here. Let me find it.
Yeah, well, then that,
EMF radiation.
it's bad enough that we gotta have rays that come from the sun that destroy our cells and our body. But now we're making our own frequencies and stuff that destroy our body. We're getting a double whammy.
The sun, I don't believe, destroys anything in the body. I mean,
it does break down. It breaks things down. I mean,
It
you get a
causes
sunburn.
genetic changes.
Yeah, yes, but natural stuff.
Yeah, it's a
right,
natural
the
change.
natural stuff. Yeah, it gets rid of what doesn't belong on the surface. But the reason
Right.
it's causing like certain diseases such as cancer is because of what we introduce into the body to begin with. They say you are what you eat. Whatever you go out in the sun, you sweat, and when you sweat, that's what's burning on the skin is those acids that basically come from like saturated fats and meats and stuff like that. Too much of it,
Yeah.
at least. And your body's made of water. So when you talk about oil and water don't mix, that type of oil coming out on the skin doesn't mix, with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to share that document with you at the moment.
Well, if you open it up, and then
There we go.
click share, and then it should share. I already gave you sharing permissions, so
Oh,
it
okay.
should be good.
Let's see if there it is.
There you go. But
Share.
oh, cool. Here we go.
Okay. Now, let me see. Oh gosh. Okay, let me turn that off.
Oh, cool.
That's going to make it hard for me to read. But at the end of this document, they do give methods. This is a report on cell tower radiation. This is only from 3G and down, okay? But the effects of 4G are the same. 5G is a lot different. But this is mostly what we're suffering with, is a lot of this type of radiation and this type of damage. Yes. This is what we've been suffering with for like 100 years. This includes radio waves and other things. But at the end of this document, they do give methods like small cell methods, direct lines, things like that, actual solutions on how we can take care of ourselves and limit our exposure to a lot of these radiations, like burying our power lines, using fiber optics instead of transmitting through the air. There's all kinds of things. Doing small cells that use a lot less power. But really, I think one of the most important things is getting control of the system and not allowing them to adjust the power level and frequency in these damaging ways. They claimed back in the 80s that when they put up these cell towers that we were all going to be happy because they were going to transmit a happiness frequency. And I thought that was kind of a nice thing. I didn't understand it when I was 8 years old, but they told us it was going to be great, So what did they do? They did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But they told us they could do that back in the 70s. Well,
and that's the thing. If you can transmit happiness, well, then you can also transfer and grief and all kinds of other things on that too. Don't let them fool you. It's just like they always say, oh, we're going to do this, and they do the total opposite of what they're saying they're going to do.
Yep. And I was going to show you something, my phone app, the ElectroSmart phone app. I'm going to show that to you guys because I can show you they're using it. It's funny. You can see how they have used it. It takes it a moment to load. Hold on.
Yeah, we got a little time.
Okay, there we go. Okay. So we'll go back in time a bit. My wife's phone is a little patchy, and I haven't had a good enough phone to run this app for a few months. So, okay. So you can see back here.
Okay, wait, you got to stop the share. Otherwise, you're just this little bitty thing on the screen.
Oh, there we go. Stop share.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
Now I'll make you bigger so you're the speaker guy. So
okay.
There you go. Okay, now show us.
Okay. So what we've got here is a couple of weeks ago, before the incident in, where will we say, Europe? Well, a province, a Russian province. These numbers in my area, now, when you get this app, your area will have a different base level. My area's base level to make people sick is 72. So what they've been doing is they've been running since December 25th, these numbers, all 70s. But now we're moving into the spring. We'll move up here. When people don't get sick. And we're getting lower numbers, but they're specific numbers. We're getting 68s. And in my area, 68s will make people agitated, emotional, and angry. Just as we're coming into a war. And they're probably going to maintain those levels. That won't make people sick, but they'll make them agitated and angry.
So they're basically sending out a frequency just like the 432, but instead they send out the 440 and make everybody crazy. Like,
this is the live. Okay, now this app doesn't just get the electromagnetic frequencies in my area. It also collects all the cell phone tower, digital devices, and everything around me. Lists it for you. Those are all the devices around me. Okay. And what I've noticed is the devices stay at stable rates. But the overall frequency goes up on a daily basis. Now you can also track it back through your day. And I'll show you what they do to you during the daytime on an average day. Give it a second. As I said, it's a slow app.
It's called Electro Smart app, huh?
So let's go to a 72 day and see what they have for us. Let's take another moment.
These are my nightly spies right here.
Oh, mine's here too. Hi, Max. Come on up in a moment. Okay, come on up now, I guess. Okay, come on. Okay, there you go. Okay, well, that's a bad day to show you. Okay, so this day they were trying to make people sick. Okay. So it's high 70s all day long. What I was hoping to show you, I'll just tell you. On an average day, what they'll do is they'll give you a decent morning, if they feel like it. And then around 5 o'clock, when everyone's getting ready for dinner, they start blasting out the high frequencies. Around 4 to 6 o'clock.
When they know people are getting home from work, right?
People getting home from work, interacting with their family, trying to get dinner ready, trying to get homework done, all that stuff, and they are blasting you. Then around 8, 9 o'clock, and sometimes when you're just about to put your kids to bed, they blast you again. Then usually around 10 to 11 o'clock, usually to midnight, they will blast you again when you're trying to go to bed. So that's a typical day, and you can track that on that app throughout the day.
Can you protect yourself?
To some degree, yes. Actually, you can protect yourself completely. Put yourself in a grounded Faraday cage, and you'll be fine 24/7. But that's not practical for living.
Well, no, but I mean, like say you were gonna, like when you get home, is there any way to do your house up that way, or just your bedroom or something?
You can get paint, fabrics. There's paint you can get that actually grounds. It hooks up to the ground in your house and your wiring. You can get clothing like I have. I thought I would show you this. This is the fabric that you can, some of the fabric you can buy. You can buy several different types. This has silver, copper, nickel and copper mix. The shirts I'm wearing have a silver lining in them. I have to put this back next.
When you get all done, you're like a knight in shining armor.
Yeah. And I started doing this a couple of years ago because I was feeling sick every winter.
Hmm.
And I eventually figured out that these EMFs seem to be the cause of a lot of disease and a lot of people's problems.
Mhm.
So I invested in a whole bunch of money because they are expensive,
Mhm.
but I'm worth it. And I think you guys are worth it too. I would suggest you actually try and buy some, because when when I started wearing it, I noticed immediate differences in my whole existence, pretty much. My digestion changed. That feeling of malaise or sickness that I used to get, gone. A whole bunch of benefits. I'm not going to say that it's going to protect you 100%. And every layer of protection that I've put on since then seems to help a little bit. I haven't found anything that's going to protect me 100%, except for getting completely out of it, out of the suit.
Wow.
What helps big time also, I mean, I make organite.
I do
I've
have
got
lots of organite. Yeah,
got a few
organite
pucks
does
outside,
help.
but I've also noticed that when I put them in the plants, I noticed that they grow more vigorously, but just even in the garden, I'm noticing frogs, I'm noticing turtles, stuff that I'd never seen before, just, you know, and I know it's from that because it basically emits, well, it neutralizes inorganic frequencies to some extent. I mean,
Yeah.
I got crystals
I
in
find
there.
they put out negative ions, I think, in my
Right.
opinion. When I
So-
hold a piece of organite, you put it, if you put it, hold it over your hand, I feel a cool breeze coming off it, like a waterfall,
Right.
you know, and that's a waterfall, and I can almost smell negative ions like a waterfall.
Right.
Water- yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
organite is strong, man. I mean,
yeah, there's different strengths of organite. Some people make it strong and some people don't. I have
I
felt, I'd
make it
like to
real
try
strong.
some of yours. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll send you one, but I use certain crystals. Like I'll use like pink quartz. Sometimes I'll use clear. Sometimes I'll use.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got this piece right here
Hmm.
that I was gonna make an organite with. This is that alien rock. You know what I'm saying? That this little
Yeah.
piece cost me like $90, bro.
Yeah.
One would ask, why would I pay
Like,
for
I don't
that?
have a lot of organite, and I should probably have more around, you know.
Wow. $90 for that little piece. What is it?
Yeah. I forgot the name of it. It's that black alien rock that man, it's black. I forgot the name of it. I'm gonna have to probably put it in the comments after this video, but I'm having a brain fart. I completely forgot the name of it.
Is it green or it's black? No, it's black.
It's like smoky black.
Anybody in the chat know?
Hmm.
I
Wow.
forgot the specific name of it. I'll figure it out. I'll put it in the comments.
Okay.
But it's very strong though. I mean, I've meditated with it and it's strong. You have to use a lot of attention, you know, especially like, you know how I know that attention is very powerful? Because let's say if I'm just sitting still and I'm disconnected from everything and I just happen to put my attention on my feet, immediately I feel my feet like pulsating, you know what I'm saying? Or I could put my attention in my hands. It's just wherever the attention goes, literally energy will flow there, especially if you're using like a quartz that you can use as a tool, you know, because I'm a walking quartz as well. But it's just basically using certain tools that can, you know, you use them as to your advantage, you know.
Shugnite? Is that it?
No.
Shugnite? That's what Deborah Sloan says. Shugnite?
That really expensive one. I don't know why I forgot the name of it.
No, not
I don't know why I feel like
tourmaline.
it starts with a
Shugnite.
T.
Okay. I don't know. Tourmaline? Scotty
Could be,
Boy says tourmaline.
I completely forgot the name of it. So I mean,
Anyway.
it's,
Okay.
it's an expensive
so-
little rock.
Yeah. Some other things I've noticed helped is bracelets, these
Copper.
copper. Yeah.
copper bracelet.
Most metals seem to attract the stray electrons and bleed them off as rust. So
Right.
it's the soft metals. I'm trying gold at the moment, seeing if it has any positive effects. I've tried leaf gold on my hat, so we'll see. how that goes, if I notice any effects. But a lot of these things, the effects are subtle. It won't be like, your world has just completely changed or anything. So
Mary Wynn says obsidian.
That
Onyx?
sounds
Onyx?
Oh, could
no,
be.
obsidian.
obsidian, yeah.
Could be.
sounds like
Obsidian
it.
glass.
You'll figure it out. Anyway, everybody's trying to, maybe they're trying to guess. I don't know. There is a lot of different rocks out there.
It's a very strong rock. I mean, like I said, the
Onyx.
reason why all these things have subtle like differences, because like it's all in the mind for one. Like I can have a complete, I can change my mind, and in an instant I'll feel much better. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something called a placebo, nocebo, and there's things that if you feel they work, they'll work. You know, I can use anything, and if I'm convincing myself that it's the ultimate end all be all, then it'll be the ultimate end all be all. I mean, there's certain things that are very conducive, like gold, for example. Like Egyptians used to use a tray of like gold, you know, jewelry all over, but you know, they said that it was more for the conducive properties of it. You know,
A lot of the Tartarian clothing is interwoven with metal wires and strings as well.
Yeah.
The pyramids of Giza, the capstone is gold, you know, and then but that's missing. But then again, there's so many mysteries behind the pyramids. You know, there's something called shape power, where just shapes itself, you know, hold a specific charge.
Yeah, I don't know if those images are true or not. Have you seen the one where it looks like there's scalar waves coming out of the top of the pyramid?
I haven't seen that, but I gotta check that out because I love the pyramids.
Yeah, there's a really cool.
Ever since I was a little kid, man.
Of that, it's really awesome. It looks real. I don't know if it is or not, but it's really cool looking. It's got this swirling, dual intertwined. It almost looks like smoke, but it's like an energy wave coming out of the top of the pyramid. It's really cool.
Yeah, and the same with bad waves. If you ever go by one of those big power lines, like we were talking about earlier, you know, the big ones out on some back road, take a fluorescent light and hold it up and see if it lights. And you go, wow, free power. No, you're being irradiated. But
one of the first alternating power stations was done in Niagara Falls in Canada. And there are museums out there with all the genetic freaks that it produced, at least some of the ones that lived. There's little fetuses and stuff, but they're like double-headed, 8-legged, just genetic freaks from being born around these power lines, because they had them low to the ground at the time, right? They put them up on those huge poles because it isn't good for you, right? That's why they put them up there, not so you can't touch them. It's because it's bad for you. It'll make you sick. It'll give you genetic deformities.
Exactly. My gosh. Well, we went a long time, and I hate to say, but we sure went past our hour. But this has been a great discussion. We'll have to have you both back on again someday, and we'll go through this a little more, because I think we went. You know, we started down one path, we went another way and another way, but I'd like to, you know, what I would like to do is I would like to get a rifle machine, or know somebody that's got a rifle machine, and let them tell us how they've used it and how, if it's helped them or what they've done. Zig Zag, I'm going to give you a mission to figure out about those lights.
Go on to YouTube, and if you type in frequency 4, whatever, anxiety, happiness, sadness, there are several channels that produce frequencies along with music. I've used them, and I've used them on other people to see if they work. They do work. So give them a try. All you have to type in is frequencies 4, and then you sub to the channel, and you can search through all their videos. And frequencies like that can really help you as well. The frequencies of the chakra are posted in the same channels.
Yeah, so there you go. Here's your frequency sleep, 32 hertz. I've played these here at my house many a time, especially after you suggest them on your show.
Did you try 432 and 528 for sleep?
528. Yeah, they sometimes combine them. 432 sleep. You know, and they go on. Some of them are kind of long. This one will play for 8 hours, 6 hours, 9 hours. 471. I wonder what detox. Good nights at 471.
And there's also apps you can get at the App Store to set your own frequency. And there's
Frequency
one out
generator.
there. Yeah, frequency generator. There's one out there that allow you to do 3 frequencies at once. I don't have that app available at the moment. But look for it. I'll look for it for my next show, or for my upcoming show.
Yes.
And whenever I get something to eat.
Yeah. So play those in the background. I know, like when you have your show, you usually play some of those in the background or
I
something
do.
like that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. I
that.
play with one for the third eye or the crown
Yes.
chakra.
Yeah, there you go. Now remember, there's also along with it, like, you got 432, but if you turn it up just a little bit, the 440, that ain't so good. It's like you said, if it's at 72, it's gonna make you sick, but if it's at 62, now it's gonna make you angry and mad.
Yeah. 7.83 is the Earth's resonance, and it's very good for you too. It's a very deep, low tone. If you get a frequency generator, avoid playing frequencies between 10 and 20 hertz. Generally, they're not good for you.
Yeah, I'm going to check into that and get one.
Yeah, I'll look for that generator for probably tomorrow's show or something.
Yeah. So remember, everybody, tune into the shows. I put all the links in the description below for Max's show, because he does all kinds of stuff on there. Plus, you do the remote viewing. Yeah, I'm thinking, and you talk about other things too. So that's all good. And Zig Zag Zilla, you talk about all kinds of stuff, black holes and things the other day. Holy cow, So go tune into these guys, and they got a lot of good information and more to come. Always more to come. Just like on our show here, we bring you the best. And I hope you give us a thumbs up and spread the word. We're gaining subscribers every day because we're putting out bigger, better content. Well, maybe not bigger content, but better content for sure. And we're going to be doing all kinds of shows coming up. I got a new show coming up with Isby and his new channel called Isby Speaks. And we're going to be talking about King Og. We're going to be doing the whole book on King Og, the last of the Raphaim.
I've listened to that. That's an awesome book.
It's going to be interesting. I don't know where the book is right off the top of my head. I moved everything around. But anyway, we're going to be doing that. And we got the Native American myths and legends on Tuesdays. And of course, on Saturday, we always got somebody good. And I think we got Grandpa Brian coming up on this next Saturday. And then after that, I think we're going to have Delaney Pearl Jones, because she's sending me so many ghost videos, and that kind of goes along with the frequency too. I think, she's taken these pictures of things that can't be explained. And I think she has the power of sight to see that extra. All you got to see is that 1% more than everybody else, and you're seeing something. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And or hearing something, hearing that extra voice in your head. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But she's got it. She knows where to look and point the camera. And we're going to talk about that too. Plus, she's always got something interesting to say. Don't you know? So, but Zig Zag, we got to get back on and start doing some those health shows too. Spring's coming up. I'm getting ready to rototill the garden in the next few days. So it's going to be good gardening season. Love that.
Year I'm gonna have an epic garden this year, man. I'm going basically maximize as many watermelons and berries. Last year I had a lot, but this year I'm going epic, man.
Nice. I love the honeydew melons. I go bonkers over those.
That's going too. Yep.
Yeah. Oh,
last year I had a bunch of honeydews and cantaloupe and watermelons. Crazy amount of watermelon. Yeah, that's what I focus. I mean, I grow fruit because that's what I like to eat. Some people, they like to do, let's say cauliflower and spinach. I mean, I grow that, but I didn't even eat it. I get fruit and I eat that all the time. So you
remind me, I got to start my seedlings soon.
Now is the best time. Full moon, bro. I started mine last night, and even today, this morning.
What's awesome. The moon? Apparently, it's supposed to be good to start on a new moon. To start planting on a new moon.
No,
Oh,
I did that
perfect.
and so I got, you know, what's funny that the last new moon I did put some seeds down, and now this new moon I was talking to my brother-in-law and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna plant some seeds
Nice.
now, new moon, and I'm gonna plant some seeds now. It's full moon and I'm gonna see what happens.
Right on.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't wait to hear the results. That'd be awesome.
I'm checking. I'm looking. So far, I got one thing come up, and that was when I planted it on the new moon.
Nice,
Nice.
nice. Yeah, plants, I'm sure they like the cycles. You know,
Yeah.
I know if you say you buy a tree, or you dig a tree up, and this one I can tell you for sure, it's true. The honest truth is if you dig a tree up, mark where the sun is. And then when you get home to plant that tree, you better, mark where the sun is, because then you plant that tree according to that spot. Because if the sun's here and you dig the tree up and the sun was here, and then you plant the tree over this way, the tree is going to get so confused because it knows where the sun is. Go figure.
Cool.
It throws it off its cycle and that tree will die.
And it was that whole thing is connected from the soil. It's not just like what's happening outside. It's just basically the temperature and the chemistry of what's going on in the soil as well. You know, another thing you could try if you're going to plant these seeds. I actually put the seed in my mouth and I spit it into the hole of wherever I'm planting it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I started. I basically put it in my mouth and I spit the seed with my saliva and get it going like that.
Yeah, there could be two really good benefits to that. It could help dissolve the seed husk and get the seed to promote easier, using less energy. And it could absorb some of your DNA into its own and be a little more bioavailable for you or better for you. I don't know.
That's
Maybe
actually
even
very
on an
true.
energetic level.
That's exactly my intent behind it. Whatever fruits I'm bearing, it's going to read where my deficiencies are, and the chemistry will align itself to basically fill in those deficiencies that I may have, just because I introduced my chemistry to it.
Well, I would agree with that because of Dr. Emoto's experiments.
That's right.
On water. I would
done with love, right?
agree with that.
That love frequency is powerful, man.
Yeah,
it is. It is. I ain't putting these in my mouth.
Transmitting that through water,
I already got my seeds, guys. I got my seeds. I picked them up the other day at the store, planting onions, but I'm not putting them in my mouth before I plant them.
You could though.
Yeah,
I probably could, but I'll pass on that part. But yeah, they got the seeds, the potatoes out there. Seeds, get your seeds while they're ready on the shelf, because I think there's going to be a lot of people planting gardens this year. And if you don't, well, plant something. That's my suggestion.
It's so much fun to do that, man. I mean,
it is
not like the feeling of something just come up from the soil out of something you planted, man. I don't know what it is about it, but it's such a fascinating feeling for me, man. Just the spring when I start to see, I see everything dormant all winter, and then I see it come up in the spring. Man, it's like such a beautiful feeling, man. I love spring and summer. I don't even know how I lived in New York for such a long. I was born and raised over there. I don't even know how I spent my life over there. Now I'm here and I see these things that I've never seen in the city, because I'm from the city where it's basically all concrete and big buildings. And man, I moved down here and I just saw green and I just connected with it like instantly. Now I feel like I know more than a gardener who's been doing it for 20 years and I've only been doing it for 4,
Yeah.
But I guess it's a passion that came with it. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
that, or maybe I've done it before. I don't know.
Well, the thing is we're all part of the soil. We're all part of the water. And when you get reconnected with that, it really brings out who you are.
Right.
That's
even getting the dirt on your fingers and on your skin is good for you. The microbiome absorbs through your skin and helps your health.
Yeah, they say that kids that play in the dirt are healthier than kids that don't.
Oh yeah, that's right. Believe it or not, there's like little pores like underneath your nails that's where you're basically eating that bacteria from. That's why when you go in the dirt and you get the fingernails all dirty and whatnot, that's where it's basically eating the most from, is those fingernails. And if you look at it, this right here is a very important,
mouths. You got 10 little mouths.
That's right.
Cool.
Well, I must have been a really healthy little kid.
Wands, if anything,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, everybody. I guess that'll be good. I see Gaz is back in there. He's been growing stuff. He put seeds in
Nice.
his mouth, soaking up my saliva before you put him in the seed pot. So he does that too.
I've
So he's
heard
big into
exposing
that.
him to a negative field of a magnet as well is good for them.
Yeah, so I guess it works. You're right on the money. How about that? I love it. Okay, everyone. Remember, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all. Till next
Be in
time.
class.
Peace, everyone.